I don't care what you say, Spalian. We're not going to start the podcast as though we were in the middle of a conversation, okay? I don't care how funny you think it'll be, and I sure as hell don't care about the gorilla. Like, just no, we can't do that.
But Sharky...
No,
Come on.
it's not right. It's just like, and then you brought in the hobo to like do the dance routine. No, come on. That's excessive.
Jacob's gonna be sad.
I mean, you know, we don't pay him enough, so it doesn't really matter. Zombie, your thoughts?
You what now?
As always, Zombie is here, providing the greatest commentary.
Do what now?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Colossal Kaiju Fan Podcast.
Do the thing.
I am doing the thing.
Julie, do the thing!
I will have you know. My freaking name is Sharktopus117. You can all call me Sharky. Then joining me, as always, is Mr. Spotted Alien.
Hello.
And full house today, we got the Hungary Zombie.
Yes.
And we have Berkaya.
Hi.
We're all here today. It's kind of overcast outside, really dark because it's nighttime.
Yeah.
It's really cold here.
It's cold here for Texas at least, which is always really cold when. Actually, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I forgot how to.
In this room.
Regardless, we're here today to talk about licensed kaiju. So today is going to be an unorthodox episode. It might be a bit shorter than most episodes, I'm thinking. Because we're not really going to talk about any specific character from Colossal Kaiju Combat. We're going to talk more about copywritten characters and their potential in the game.
Yeah.
And some of us have a better idea for that than others.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
We're not talking about me, are we? We might be. Okay.
So, yeah. With that stated, there's really not much we have to go over beforehand. I don't think we have anything we need to plug other than the comic. Go buy it.
Yeah.
Buy it now, or I will hunt you down and eat your face.
He will.
Sharky, did you ever actually buy it yet?
Is it on Amazon yet?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what you're waiting for.
Yeah.
There's a whole tax.
That's what everyone's waiting for. Everyone's waiting for Amazon and Comixology. You're waiting for Amazon and Comixology.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for tax information to get back.
True.
Well, there you go. I can assure you the second it is on Amazon, I will purchase it and Project 731.
The second it is on Amazon and Comixology, we will make sure everyone and their mother knows.
We're actually going to have an emergency news broadcast on the podcast the second it's on Amazon and Comixology.
We're just going to hijack NBC and CBS and all those.
Yeah, basically. That said, let's just get the show on the road.
Alrighty.
We're going to talk about these licensed kaiju. Who wants to start us off? While I talk like a weirdo for the rest of this podcast.
Not me.
We doing our list then?
No, Burke. No. What are you doing? Why do we have you here? Not kidding.
You rarely do have me here.
I mean, you know, schedules, man. They're a thing. Let's start over. So, anywho, licensed kaiju.
They're great.
They're pretty okay.
They're popular.
The kaiju genre is one that is vast and
kinda
super limited.
Well, yeah, that's one word. The word I was looking for was
obscure.
Yeah, that too.
That too, yeah.
It's not the word I'm looking for. It's definitely expensive.
We no one cares about you.
Wow, just pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, Burke, because that stuff gets cut out. Unappreciated, I guess, to an extent, some people might say, but I was thinking more along the lines of just like, here, instead of using an adjective, I'll make a metaphor. You know when Columbus found the Native Americans? And then, like,
God, no! Are we getting diseased blankets?
Well, no, the film industry is. That's
Okay.
basically what the kaiju genre was for a small period of time. Just economically diseased blankets
That,
in the like 70s.
I guess.
So, you do know
that's our,
why we stopped getting Godzilla and, well, not Gamera, but Godzilla movies, right?
Stop making money.
No, that wasn't the problem at all. Japan was having an oil crisis, and they could not, like, they were having I think it was a full-blown depression that only started getting better in the 80s and the 90s, and then, the 2000s happened.
So
But,
yeah, they didn't have the money for it, so they stopped making money.
Well, I mean, it wasn't that the movies stopped making money, it was that they stopped having the money to make the movies.
Basically, yeah.
That's also why Kamen Rider and Ultraman ended in that same time period.
Gamera. Well, Gamera was for
Gamera was
a
already
lot of
done.
other reasons.
Yeah. Kamen Rider Stronger and Ultraman Leo both ended in 1975, the same year that Terror Mechagodzilla was made.
The last Godzilla film of the Showa era. One of my
That's
favorites
right.
too. In regards to CKC, when we talk about the just myriad of kaiju that are available, we need to there needs to be a line drawn in the sand here, which is
Oh, God.
the question is not can we include that character, because from a technical standpoint the answer will almost always be yes. The problem is, to paraphrase Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, we spend so much time thinking about whether or not we can that we don't stop to think if we should. The fact of the matter is that if we make a Godzilla like pack and we fill it with like Gorosaurus, that's not the money maker right there. I said that like weird. Man, I can't talk today. I'm sorry, guys. Peoples. Wow.
Oh, this is what you get for taking Jeff Goldblum as your advice manager.
You know what? You're absolutely. But then you said advice manager. How is that a thing?
Advice manager.
That's not a thing.
That's totally a thing.
That is not a thing.
bottom line is there are certain kaiju that we want to include.
Yeah.
And certain kaiju that we couldn't care less about.
Yep.
The fact of the matter is that there are fundamentally kaiju that, to be blunt, just don't really matter, comparatively speaking, from a business making. Wow, from a money making standpoint, that it's not.
Gorosaurus is a terrible businessman.
I mean, yeah.
Happened.
The thing is, the way Simon put it one time is, if you think about the amount of money you need to put forward into acquiring the rights to that character, and then compare that to then add onto that the amount of money to create the character in the game, the money to make the build, and then you have to compare that big sum of money to how much money people are willing to pay for that. Yeah. And if the amount of money people are willing to pay for it is not greater than the money you put into that, it's not really worth it. Such is the case for most of the small kaiju things. Let's take Cloverfield, for example. Which, for starters, the people who own the rights for that would charge $1 million, ridiculous sums of money for it, far more than it's worth, in my opinion. For a film that was just kind of mediocrely popular, so for people to pick it up would be a gamble at best in America.
Especially with how old it is now.
Yeah, it is now what, more than 6 years old? I can do the math. It actually becomes 6 years old in 8 days, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not worth it, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cloverfield monster, he, she, it is cool and all, whatever you think it is.
It's interesting to look at, but in terms of how much the movie actually impacted things, it really didn't.
No.
It wasn't a thing that people really paid attention to.
No.
Whereas Godzilla, if you don't know about Godzilla, first of all, you're media deprived. Second of all, you would live under a rock possibly bigger than the planet itself.
Mm-hmm, basically.
So it's sort of like, what are the Batmans, the Supermans, the Spider-Mans that we can get into the game?
Of kaiju. And frankly, for kaiju, That's really difficult because the kaiju like fandom is a niche fandom. I think is safe to say.
Yeah, the
It-
closest thing we have to a superstar is Godzilla, maybe King Ghidorah and Rodan,
Mothra.
and then
Mothra.
Mothra. Yeah, but those are all from the same universe.
yeah.
And then the next thing we have, Gamera, I'd argue is a bit closer to
Not
someone.
not as many people know about Gamera.
Yeah,
The question remains: is it economically viable? I would argue that it is. Personally, I think we could make some money off of it.
As far as like licensing obscure kaiju, I have never played Godzilla Unleashed, but I recently watched some people playing it on the Wii,
Mm-hmm.
and what shocked me, what
Didn't miss
legit-
much.
No, from what I understand, Simon doesn't like that game.
A lot
But
of people don't like it.
but what shocked you?
What shocked me was that of all kaiju, Varan was in it.
Yeah, and he's pretty good too.
But who looked at Varan and thought, yes, we must have him in this game ahead of other kaiju?
I don't know.
Because he hasn't been in anything since Varan the Unbelievable, or
I mean,
was that,
he had like 2 seconds in Destroy All Monsters,
that doesn't
His
count.
suit was
and they used stock footage of him in Final Wars.
That doesn't count either.
like Baragon, I understand. GMK was a new movie when he got included.
But
Well,
Even
that
though
he was
they-
very popular in Japan.
Yeah.
well, I mean, he's adorable, so.
Who
I
the hell wanted Varan? What business deal resulted in that?
Look, there was this one guy, and he was up late one night, and he was looking through the TV, and Varan the Unbelievable, American version, of course, because that's clearly the better version in every
Look.
situation.
Ted just really likes Varan.
Yeah, basically. Just it popped on, and he was like, you know what? This is going in the game.
One day I'm gonna ask Simon, and he's pretty much gonna just quote that verbatim.
Probably.
Anyway, primarily, we're just going to take a couple moments to look at. Are we just going to take a couple moments to look at Godzilla?
Yeah,
So yeah,
now we can move on to the Godzilla stuff. I guess that really basically just goes right into the Godzilla stuff as to Godzilla kaiju that we think are worth getting into the game. And
I am the best at segues.
wow, the ineptitude is real. Anywho, the Godzilla franchise has a lot of kaiju, and it is more relevant now because, you know, a man by the name of Gareth Edwards, he made this movie recently. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was pretty under the radar.
Yeah,
But Godzilla was in it, I hear. I'm not sure. It's alleged.
probably
It's
didn't
alleged.
make much money.
I hear its title is like
Military
what is it?
guy.
Zilligod, Elazadog. I don't know.
I thought the title was we didn't use Bryan Cranston well enough. But that's a whole other discussion.
I could have sworn that the title was a tragic romance comedy.
You know what? It probably was. In any case, Godzilla's kind of in the public mind at the moment, more so than he has been for a while. So, of course, assuming by some miracle we get the rights to Godzilla, which, to be fair, I don't think we will anytime soon because of the recent PS3 game, and I don't think Toho would want competition for that because that has a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Possibly.
That's at least just my opinion. I don't know about you guys.
I don't want to say anything until Simon actually sounds off.
Regardless, the potential for a Godzilla licensed CKC release is there. And
Yeah.
it would be super cool. It's why a lot of people even like funded this game, just for the possibility of that. Personally, I'm 110% okay with just making it original characters every
Yeah.
installment. I think that's awesome. I think that's great. I think it injects new life into the kaiju genre that it needs. But if we make a Godzilla release, I'm for that too.
Yeah.
Certainly frees up the storyline.
That is true. So, with the Godzilla release, what you need to realize is we can't, like we said before, you can't just stick in Gorosaurus and expect like it's gonna go crazy. Or at the very least, he should be at the bottom of your priorities.
Yeah, I will say I love Gorosaurus just because he's such an oddity of a kaiju.
I will agree with you there. He's bizarre.
He's a great little guy. He's grumpy and Apparently he can burrow.
Apparently.
Somehow.
It's because
But,
they fired Baragon, but
I don't know a thing about Gorosaurus. We'll be clear. I'm not the most informed of kaiju in these parts.
Yeah. I love Gorosaurus to death, but yeah, he's bottom tier.
because we have to be real. We have to balance kaiju that people will recognize. So, the Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla even. Those kind of like 5.
Yeah.
And then we need to add in kaiju that balance well in combat and in gameplay. So, like Anguirus, I think, is incredibly well if he's anything like his Save the Earth version. Which, by the way, is one of the most fun troll characters there is in any video game ever. Playing as Anguirus in Save the Earth is an absolute joy if you can do it right.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
There's characters like Orga who are like just this powerhouse who just kind of like he charges and he grapples and he grabs things just through his own attacks. He doesn't even have to use the grapple button. He just kind of picks you up when he punches you. He's great. And then there's Gigan and Megalon and so on. These characters that are veterans of the game, so to be fair, they have that going for them that we know how they play.
Yeah.
But then we have other characters like, say, King Caesar, who's only in Godzilla Unleashed, but I think would be an acceptable addition. I won't push for him. I won't be screaming his names from the mountaintops, and I certainly won't be singing about him for 5 minutes like they do in the movie.
It might not be worth the hype.
But at least combat-wise, I think he would be a good addition, just because of his, like kung fu stuff. I think it's acceptable.
Yeah.
But you could also just substitute him for Jet Jaguar and get basically the same thing. Plus,
And a better kaiju.
and a better kaiju because he's basically Mecha Jack Nicholson. So there you go. Other than that, though, like I feel like when we go into these licensed character discussions, those are the two things we need to always keep in mind. Does it blend well? Does it flow well gameplay-wise? And is it recognizable? If both of those can get checked off, if we have like, let's say it's a 12-character cast, which is what I believe Fall Nemesis is. It's 12 or 11.
Yeah.
But let's say 12. Let's be generous. If we have 10 recognizable kaiju that fit into both of those, then it's okay to have 2 that are a bit weird. It's okay to have like, Varan in there if you get your other bases covered. But we can't have the whole roster just be Baragon. Well, Baragon maybe, but Varan and Gorosaurus and Manda and,
It would essentially boil down to a cast of Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan. As sad as I am to say that Anguirus probably wouldn't make it if we were limited to 4.
I doubt we would be limited to 4 if we got the license.
Possibly, yeah.
And then, of course, and the big problem, the reason why we're doing this, of course, is this seems really obvious, but you have to keep in mind that most likely the decision of which characters get in the game will be left to the forums and to the design team.
Yeah.
And it's a vote, and people need to know you gotta think in a certain mindset and not be,
Can I just make one plead?
Yeah.
Vote Gorosaurus over Varan because one of these people has fought King Kong and fought beside Godzilla against King Ghidorah. The other one's Varan.
Basically. I'm gonna interject and say vote for Ibira over Gorosaurus because Ibira is the best, but that's just me.
I'm gonna interject and say I have no real preference. I just went Anguirus.
Yeah.
I don't care about either.
All right. GG.
There you go.
That's really all we have to say about Godzilla. I think our bottom line is that Godzuki is confirmed to be the number 1 most important character to put in the game,
Well, of course.
followed by Zilla Jr.
I mean, I am running a blog about adult Godzuki, so
Central's reminding me. There's one more thing I want to talk about before we finish this up. This really annoying tendency I've seen people on the forums is this mad craving for every version of Godzilla, where there's this almost as though there are certain people who desire for the roster to be nothing but Godzilla and just different versions of Godzilla, which I am adamantly opposed to, because I think that's just, I'm gonna be frank, I just think that's stupid. I think that just is boring. No. I'm against, I mean, if you look at it this way, that's money that you're spending to make a clone that you could spend to make something new.
Don't call it a clone. Simon might get upset.
My point is, I will always prefer, even if it's, I will take Viran over 2 Godzillas in the game. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think we need 2 different Godzillas. I don't think.
Are you saying you don't want Godzilla 2000, Godzilla Millennium, Godzilla Final Wars, Godzilla Showa, Godzilla Heisei, Godzilla Zilla, or Godzilla Geno, or Godzilla Junior, or Godzilla, or Manila? Are you saying you don't want Manila?
I don't.
That is exactly what I am saying, good sir. I'm glad you are aware of this, and I've also noticed this a lot in discussion about Gamera, because there's like, we need to have the Showa Gamera, we have to have the Heisei Gamera, we have to have Millennium Gamera, both versions. We gotta have all the gals, and we gotta have the gals from the fan film, and we gotta have the gals from the games. So you just have a roster that's just Gamera and the gals. And none of the other cool monsters like Barugon, who is the best, by the way. And it's booty. It's booty.
Okay, then.
That is me just ranting about how I am so totally against dupes of a character.
One version of Godzilla per roster.
Yes, please. If it's another game, if we make 2 Godzilla games, screw it. Sure, we can make a different version of Godzilla. Fine. I mean, even then, I feel like we could probably just import the previous Godzilla and it'll be okay.
The only nice thing I can think of is a Showa Godzilla could have all kinds of crazy powers.
Yeah, if we have Showa Godzilla, he has to be able to fly and do the kick.
And also turn into a magnet and draw metal enemies to him.
He does. Okay, that would be really cool. But still, that's like, it's unnecessary, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, but you just can't be that creative with all the other Godzillas. This is the problem, because the rest of them all basically just shoot beams or generate and get hit a lot.
They're all it's like, fundamentally it's the same character, so it becomes an issue.
So how off topic are we yet?
We're not off topic at all.
Wow. Yeah.
Spaley,
on,
some faith in us.
Oh, good.
Wow.
We're still on topic.
So, anywho, Birkin, on the topic of rubber duckies.
Yes.
And with that, we will segue into the top 5. We need a bumper for the top 5. That's what we should get.
This is the top 5.
Someone isolate that and add funny music to that, and then that will be our bumper. Go.
Except this isn't the top 5, it's actually the top 3.
Yeah, except it's the top 3 because we're going to do it.
The top 5 minus 2.
So,
this is the top 5 minus 2.
Today's top 5, since it's a personal top 5, it's not a group consensus top 5 like last time. Oh yeah, also, before we go into the top 5, it's on the topic of the top 5.
Nice.
At the time of this recording, the very first episode with the top 5 was supposed to come out, and the episode came out, but the top 5 was lost, unfortunately, and now no one knows. And the top 5 for that was in the Kaverstein episode, I believe. The top 5 for that, and that's when we explained everything about the mailbag and how the top 5 works, which we're probably not going to explain again because you can just figure it out. Rest assured, just send us your top 5s on topic with our top 5s for us to read on the show. That's all you really need to know that was lost. But our top 5 for that episode was our top 3 personal favorite kaiju. We're not going to sit through all that again, so everyone just say who your number 1 was. I'm King Ghidorah.
I don't even remember.
Yours was Anguirus, I recall.
Okay, Anguirus.
I wasn't here.
Zombie was King Kong, and then you weren't there.
Yes, because you guys took my favorites.
Yeah.
Well, except for Anguirus, I really don't care.
Yeah.
That's my brother's favorite monster. Not mine.
I'll take 74 Mechagodzilla.
Best Mechagodzilla, so.
Yes,
G1 Mechagodzilla.
Alright, there we go. That's it. So now we can move into our top 5 for this episode, the topical one, or top 3. Our top 3 properties or specific characters that we think would be good in CKC. Some of these are more like just optimistic and just be like, hey, it'd be cool. More like thought experiments than anything else. Some of them
Yeah.
are more serious and like, yes, this would make money.
You guys can take random guesses as to which one. Hint, hint. It's the former of the two is probably mine.
So with that, everyone will say their top 3. So I'll start.
No, we should all say them all at the same time.
Yeah.
Each of
Yes, at the loudest voice.
My number 3 is the Attack on Titan franchise. The scale is kind of wonky compared to Arkaiju, but frankly, just scaling it up is not an issue to me
no.
personally. And I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who'd be butthurt about it, but I think it's a really minuscule thing to be butthurt about. And I think it'd be good for a small release. There's at least 4 Titans you can put into the engine that would work, I think.
Should I make a Ridley joke?
Ridley joke. Well, I mean, people are still touchy about that, man. Never know. He's too big. He's like galaxy sized.
That's true.
How can he fit into the game? Impossible.
That's why he's always resurrected. I just figured it out.
Yeah,
He's got-
he has more mass than we assumed, thus he's alive again.
It's exactly how it works. Wow, we got off topic fast. Anywho.
Yeah.
But yeah, Attack on
I will
Titan.
kill all
I
Titans.
think the Titans could work. I also think could be some cool map potential there for like the cities and the forests. So I'm all for that if people want to make it. I think it could work. I don't know. It's pretty popular right now, I would say. So it could make some money. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. But it's also, by being popular, probably has a fairly hefty price to it.
Yeah.
So that would be my one concern there. But that's my opinion on Attack on Titan. For number 3. Who wants to say their 3 next?
I'll go next, I guess.
Alright, GG.
My number 3 choice is the Giant Claw.
Oh, yeah.
That is both an iconic monster that a lot of kaiju fans recognize, and also it'd probably be fairly cheap to get a hold of.
Oh, it'd be dirt cheap. Like, they might even give it to us for free, just like, get this off my hands.
Can you imagine that Frank version of that?
Oh, that'd be awesome. You know what the
best-
Giant Claw is? The Giant Claw, if we were to get a hold of the Giant Claw, that would be the, like, character license equivalent of someone running up to you in the market and giving you a brown paper bag and being like, hold this, and then running away. That's what it is.
Oh, could you imagine, though, in the game, it's just giant floppy neck going all over the place?
And it's invincible. That's like one of its
Yeah.
requirements.
Can we get the googly eyes?
We need the googly eyes. I
Yeah,
saw
that-
the Giant Claw on Thanksgiving, and it was amazing, by the way.
That is my number 3 pick, the Giant Claw.
Well, locally dokily.
Somebody go!
I'll
Zach
go
or Scott?
next, I guess. For zombie, number 3 choice be the Big O.
Elaborate.
Yes.
Because that has a lot of awesome robots. And they're all steampunk. Not those fast lightning robots you'd normally see in Japanese animation. No, these are big, heavy, Pacific Rim-styled machines of death and destruction.
I haven't seen the Big O. I do want to, though. It's on my list of things to see.
You should watch it.
Grows.
It's got everything.
every
It was animated by the same guys who made Batman the Animated Series. It was a Toonami official anime. Plus, it's got, steampunk robots in a old-fashioned noir setting.
Film noir.
Wow.
Even have jazz music in the background.
Oh, nice. Is it smooth jazz, though?
Yes.
Can I, like, slide out of my chair just listening to it?
Yes.
I'd imagine.
All right, then I'll give it a look.
Now let's
It
get
will
the
wax
spot.
everything in your room.
Just everything in my room, just all the muscles relax. Even the things without muscles, like my chair.
You suddenly
Also-
find you can't find traction on the floor. You try to get out of the room. You try to turn on the volume, but you just cannot gain any traction on anything.
There is no escape from the smoothness.
You just have to wait for it to end.
Just sliding everywhere, slipping and sliding. Please overlap some smooth jazz over this conversation, Central.
There's also 2 kaiju in the Big O.
Are there? That's good.
Yeah.
Now, Spalian, of course, this leaves just you. What's your number 3?
My number 3 would be the Lost Planet franchise. Obscure, I know.
Game I haven't played, heard of, haven't played it.
Basically, it takes place on another planet, and we got giant monsters.
Okay.
I mean, that if you couldn't tell, that's the reason why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them they're called the acrid. A lot of them are kind of insect-like. Generally, they measure within a good 20 meters or so.
Yeah.
Could probably be scaled up easily, though it might be a bit tricky in comparison to the environments. But yeah, that's the one I'll go with.
All right. So, that brings it back to me, doesn't it? So, my number 2 is not a license, like a property. It's a singular character. I don't know our chances of getting this character because I feel like he'd be pretty expensive. Spoiler alert, it's male. Well, I mean, it could be female.
Yeah.
Mr. Stay Puft from Ghostbusters. Probably, besides like King Kong, the most iconic American kaiju at the moment, I would say, is Stay Puft.
Yeah.
He's just really like, you see a giant marshmallow man and you know what he's from. He's from Michelin Tire Company. No, he's from Ghostbusters. I think he'd just be really doofy looking and awesome to play as. There just needs to be a game where you can play as Stay Puft, and that would just be awesome.
I know there are a couple people who want Stay Puft too.
Yeah, I think it might be a bit of a minority, but I'm just saying, I think it'd be pretty cool. Now, to be fair though, it's owned by Universal, and I don't think they'll give them away for cheap, so.
Not to mention with the talk about a Ghostbusters
reboot,
or might be a sequel. Yeah, we don't know.
I'm gonna assume a reboot.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say he's probably not possible, not even probable. I said that in reverse. But he would be cool. And that's it for my...
Alrighty.
I guess I'll go next, since I went second the first time.
Sounds reasonable.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Go, go, Power Rangers. That was terrible, you guys. That was an awful segue.
We're absolutely leaving that in.
See, the best part about it is you could have the original Megazord, the Tyrannosaurus Zord, and the Dragon Zord all as separate characters, and it'd work.
And people would buy it because it's Power Rangers. It's a recognizable franchise.
Yeah, you could have Bodar in there, and...
To my knowledge, are there any Power Rangers video games at all?
Yes.
Yeah, there are.
Okay. I don't know any. I don't know why I said to my knowledge there.
The best ones are actually, the very best one ever made was for the, what was the Sega handheld?
You got me.
This is before my time. I'm a fetus, guys.
I know the Sega Genesis, and probably not that. Sega...
I think it was like the Sega... It was some handheld system that Sega made. Game Gear, that's it. And it had like 8-bit graphics, but the gameplay was really fast-paced and really cool. It was basically a fighting game, but with Power Rangers instead. And you could play as the individual Zords or the Dragon Zord. It was awesome.
Sounds legitimate.
Seems legit.
And if you... The best part was, if you did everything, you could unlock a Dream Versus match where all of the characters could go giant size to fight the Zords.
That's pretty cool.
Including the Rangers. It was awesome.
I'm going to say probably the best part, though, if we were to get the Power Ranger license, is that we would be allowed to use the awesome Power Rangers theme song in promotional material. And that would be great.
It did. I do think it'd make its money back.
I would agree with you. Zombie, you're next.
All right, my number 2 would obviously be one of my favorite monsters of all times, the 8th wonder of the world, King Kong. Although that'd just be one single monster.
much like Stay Puft, King Kong, owned by Universal, would probably be really expensive to get. But he
Because
would make
that's
some
also
money.
getting a reboot.
Yeah,
We
but man, is he famous.
could
Yeah.
lump him in with Stay Puft.
I mean, you know what? That's true. Just get a Universal's pack. Pay $1
A
million per character. I'm sure we can afford it.
Jaws. Jaws is gonna be at the back.
Jaws is just flying through the air. It's just a swimming animation, but he's in the air.
Oh my god, it's Sharknado 3. Yes, we made a third one.
My goodness. We can add the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. Man, this is actually an idea, guys.
Not
Not a good
T-Rex,
one.
D-Rex.
Ah, yeah, the D-Rex, because, that's creative.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so disappointed.
Or we could have the
before, I'm sorry.
V-Rex.
I like the V-Rex. I think the V-Rex is really cool. But that's just because I'm a speculative evolution nut.
Well, we won't hold
Yeah.
that against you.
Yeah. I hope not. It's really bizarre. Of all the things to hold against me, that's one of the weirdest ones to pick.
Yeah.
Anywho, King Kong. That's a character
Yes.
that will be good.
Yes.
Next one I've got for my number 2 is Zoids. Can you tell I'm just grabbing at straws?
Just trying to think anything. Is this slightly larger than a dinosaur? Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
they-
It's a kaiju.
Yeah, if you guys can't tell, I know a lot of monster stuff, but I'm not familiar in a lot of kaiju stuff. So when it comes down to thinking of giant monsters that would be legitimate to include in a release like CKC, I don't got a lot. I don't got a lot to go off of.
Someone please isolate that sound you just made because that was amazing.
But
God,
yeah.
I want to see Dragonzord fight Godzilla.
I'm sure you can find art of that somewhere.
Yeah.
I know I can.
Basically, Zoids. Maybe scaling up Liger? I have no idea.
Now, for those of us who don't know what Zoids is, could you explain?
Yes, Zoids
Coffee.
is basically animal mechs.
Ah,
And one of the mascot figures is basically Liger Zoid, which is basically kind of I have no idea how to.
It's a liger.
well, I think
Yeah, it's a Liger. It looks
a-
like a lion type thing.
It's
And it's
it's
called a
literally a liger. You know what a liger is, don't you?
Oh wait,
Yeah.
I totally had a toy of those when I was a kid. It was a Dilophosaurus. I remember.
See, there you go.
Ah,
Yeah. Liger is a lion-tiger hybrid.
Yeah. And basically, it's got all these different variants. It's basically one of the most popular. It's their mascot.
Right next to Geno Breaker.
Yeah. And
Not
so, yeah, I'd like to see one of those guys in there. If we can, but obviously that's me grasping at straws because Zoids has I don't remember the last time I saw a Zoids release. My gosh, when was that?
Oh, that might make the license easier to get. You don't know.
yeah. I mean,
I-
look at the giant claw. Well, then again, that's a matter of quality as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Giant Claw is perfect.
I agree.
But yeah, that's all I got for my second. Can you tell I'm the one who BS'd his list?
All right, so now it's all up to me to reveal my number one, numero uno.
Number 1.
My number one character, and frankly, we could do the entire universe around this character as well. I think that would work just fine. Is a character that has received some support to an extent, but I think he needs more. It's Cthulhu and the Cthulhu mythos. Now, I like Lovecraft. I really do. I've read some Lovecraft stories. I've read Call of Cthulhu. I've read Shadow over Innsmouth. I've read At the Mountains of Madness. They're great. They're terrifying. I love it. Cthulhu, a little bit over-exaggerated and hyperbolic these days in regards to his power, but he's basically a kaiju. Just
Yeah.
with a few added psychology-based powers.
Yeah.
Which means he's Shadow of Red.
Basically. So, who will get his own episode in time. As such, I think Cthulhu and the Cthulhu Mythos got Yog-Sothoth, who, to be fair, I don't know much about. But we got Dagon, we got the Shoggoth, we got all these things that could be translated into kaiju fairly easily, I believe. So I say Cthulhu all the way. And on that note, I think is where I'll stop.
That's actually a fantastic segue for mine, because one of the Cthulhu beasties made its way into a series of mine.
It's not of yours, but
You know what I mean.
A series you like.
of my choice.
A series
here.
of your favorite.
Yeah, which is my number one, the Ultraman franchise.
a very big franchise. Plenty to choose from there.
Very popular, too, thankfully.
Yeah. In Japan.
Internationally, one of the most popular and successful.
Indeed.
And, like, even the individual Ultramen, even, you don't run into the same problem that you do the Godzillas. Because no two, well, some exceptions, like Ultraman and Ultra 7, they fight very differently. They have very different powers, very different play styles. Even though they're both humanoids that have beams. But even when you just look past the Ultramen, oh my god, there's a million kaiju.
Yeah, there are. It's one of the most intimidating things, as me, who knows nothing about Ultraman, trying to, like, if I were to try and go into that, it's just like, look at all these kaiju I have to learn about. Just this long list that doesn't end.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think that is a bit of a detriment, because in Ultraman, there's obviously Ultramen who you can identify. I know there's one other who I can think of, but I can't remember the name for, who's, I guess, like one of the major antagonists for Ultraman. I don't know. But, and then you have everyone else.
Well, there are several kaiju that stand out as far as the Ultraman franchise goes. Most notably is Red King, Gomora, Zeton, King Joe, Pandon.
See, the only one I recognized of those was Gomora. I'm not saying that
I recognize Red
fans.
King.
I'm not saying that fans of Ultraman would not be like, oh, you should totally include this guy or this guy. Oh, this guy would be so cool. But as someone who's looking in, I'm like, I know that guy. Who the frick are all these guys?
It is true.
Oh, that's part of the problem you'd run into with these kinds of licenses, is the thing. But what I mean is that even these are the ones that have multiple incarnations across the franchise. Because, like, I don't think an Ultra Kaiju that's only appeared once in one episode 30 years ago should be up for it. But something like
But
Red
you can
King,
always just have Ultraman.
Yeah.
Which is one of the key things that's great about it. You can always just say, like, someone going in can just say, oh, that's Ultraman, but a fan can say, oh, that's Ultraman da-da-da from this series.
Yeah. And there's actually been some Ultraman series that have crossed over into the United States. Ultraman Great from Ultraman Towards the Future was one. Ultra 7 and Ultraman Tiga and the original also are all aired in the United States. So there definitely would be some recognition there.
Yep.
Especially Tiga, if you ever watched the Fox Kids stuff.
I did not. I can confirm. Zombie, you're number one.
What the hell?
Don't worry about that.
Well, I'll go with something I find fairly almost as popular as Ultraman, but on less of a scale of how many monsters. And that would be one of my favorite monsters of all time, the Guardian of the Universe, Gamera.
Friend to all children.
And Screaming Dogs.
Oh, don't worry about those
also,
dogs.
the Brave and the Invincible. I actually like Gamera more than I like Godzilla.
Wow.
Oh yes, he's quite a wonderful little character. He's got a very diverse rogues gallery to boot.
Yeah. Albeit kind of small, but it's diverse.
And so all the ghosts.
Well, that's kind of an advantage, because with Gamera you can say, well, who all should we include? Well, these guys are the most popular, and it's pretty easy to point and choose them out.
Like
makes
the,
him kind of
and Gauss.
the
Yeah.
Gamera
There we go.
franchise, you can count every kaiju in that franchise on both hands. Maybe
I don't
I'm pretty
think
sure.
that's entirely true, but almost, yeah.
As long as you don't go into like the different versions of the Gauss and the Gameras, then yeah, you can. If you
But still, for a newcomer, it's not. You don't have to keep track of all these things. You just lay out these, and you're like, okay, what else do I have to know?
not much else.
They're just like, that's all. Oh, I can start reading up on them then.
There's-
It's easy to approach, which is part of what makes Gamera just a really good idea. And I'm not gonna lie, Gamera was my original number one, but Zombies beat me to it, so I picked a different. Gamera, I think would be a great choice. There are, to my knowledge, very few Gamera games in existence. I've seen footage of one that's like a rail shooter for one of the PlayStations, I think, or something. I don't know. That's where the two-headed Gauss is from. That's all I know.
I have no idea. So
Yeah, it's obscure.
obviously, I have no idea. I'm not the aficionado of this stuff.
Speaking of which, now it's your turn.
Yep. Well, I do actually have a kaiju thing for my number one, and that is Pacific Rim.
Yes.
A very recent one, and one that would probably be a bit difficult to obtain because they're coming up with sequels here and an animated series.
Can't wait.
Yeah, really can't wait for that. But the pool of kaiju isn't too big. You got a heroic figure, a couple of antagonist figures, you got some fan favorites, and you're good to go. It won't be too difficult to implement at least Gypsy Danger, Otachi, and Leatherback into it. Probably Slattern too.
Knifehead.
Yeah, Knifehead. And you could probably also go for Chernal Alpha and Crimson Typhoon, yes. So right there, you've got a pretty big cast that already covers a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. I think the only character we missed was Striker Eureka.
Yeah, Striker Eureka. He's one of my favorites too. And then you also got Scunner and Raiju.
Who are the filler of the Kaiju universe.
Yeah.
In the film. Unfortunately, because some of them are pretty cool. I really like Raiju.
Yeah.
Scunner, I am okay with.
Scunner's one of my favorites personally. I don't know, there's something about that three-pronged head that's really interesting.
I'd love to have Coyote Tango of the Jaegers to show up.
I would too, but we never really got a good view of him. So I guess that is a bit more credence to him actually showing up. Like, hey, now you can actually see this guy who you've heard a lot about.
Yeah, NECA made a figure of him, and his design is wonderful.
It's really good.
I'm
going
to
get
check that out then.
But it's like $30.
Yeah.
So,
Funny.
With
Money
that,
is the thing that I have to spend on college.
With that, we're basically done with our top 5.
Yeah.
GG. I think we can all agree we had some pretty good choices up here.
Yep.
So now, the end of the podcast, we go to the mailbag. Unfortunately for us, the episode in which we finally introduced the mailbag, that got lost, so you guys didn't really know about it. I made a few posts, but we didn't really get anything. We got one message, which I'll read right now. Thank you to this guy who sent us the message, by the way. But yeah, please send us more messages. We want to read your responses. What's your favorite kaiju? Tell us your kaiju-based stories. Throw us suggestions of episodes you want to see or things you want to see done with us as the podcast crew.
Do you want to see Burkian anymore? And if not, you can go die.
Do you want to see us play a game? Please don't, because that requires a lot of effort that we're not willing to put in because we're all lazy. But that's another.
I mean, I'd be there and yell at you guys. That's like playing a game.
I mean, basically. But without further ado, I will now read our first and last beat of fan mail today. I said beat, I meant bit. From why did I say from? It doesn't say where he's from. From
That's
Jason.
a little concerning.
From Jason. It's in all caps. I'm not sure if you guys want me to shout it out.
Shout.
Okay.
Just use the dirt voice.
Oh, you want the dirt voice?
Yeah.
Get some progenitors on your show. I want to hear some of what they have to say about their Christians. I'm not one of those people who be on the show. I'm very shy and quiet.
He wants to hear about the kazoos.
Basically. So, in case my voice was unintelligible to you normal people, what he wants is for us to have progenitors on the show. Obviously, the last episode hasn't come out yet at the time of this recording, because we talked about that.
Yeah. Technically, we already got a couple progenitors here. HZ is a progenitor. Wee, who's recording this, is a progenitor. I'm a progenitor. We're gonna We're gonna try to get Burke to be a progenitor, hopefully.
Yay.
And then I'm just here.
And
Yeah.
we're gonna try to get you to be a progenitor too at some point. First comes SBN. We'll have to do something about that. But in terms of actually getting the other progenitors on here, we'll definitely try to see if we can't get those people there.
So, yes, if you're a progenitor, and I guess now we can just kind of segue into the final bit of housekeeping. If you're a progenitor and you listen to the podcast and you've done, if you've completed your collaboration, your character's on the wiki, contact me for the time being. And, Sharkbus17, I'm on the forums. Just send me a PM. You can send me on Skype also, if you have me on Skype.
Yeah.
Say you want to be on the show, and we'll try and get, 6 or 7 people, counting ourselves, of course. I, for not being a progenitor, will probably not be on that episode. So...
We're going to put you on the episode anyways, a special guest.
No, it's not. No, it'll probably just be a pure progenitor fest. So
It doesn't sound fun.
it'll be very fun.
Oh, well,
Now it will be
What
the
was
progenitor
Surface
for the characters of discussion, correct?
No, we're not going to be talking about any characters in the episode. We'll be talking about just progenitorship and what it's like to go through collaboration.
Just doing the collaboration, right?
Yeah, just the process.
Yeah.
And what it's like, the experience of it. And also, of course, the creators there will be free to talk about their character if they're not happy with something we may have said, if we've already gone over their character, or if they want to clarify something to the public, of course, feel free. That is something to handle when we get to that episode, which will be the next one. And planning for that, we'll probably spend at least just a solid week of planning, and then the next week we'll do the recording. And on that note, I was Sharky.
This has been Spotted Alien.
I'm a
James.
Burke.
And
I'm a
There you
Burke.
go.
there you go. It's over. Just go home, back to your lives. Have a
No
good
one
what
wants to
lives?
have a good day.
What day?
no.
It's night.
I
What night,
forgot
it's
what
day.
the sun's like.
I'm pretty sure by this point we will have cut.
Yeah.
Nah.